Okay, my pick of the week will be Huawei giving us our first glimpse at their much-awaited HarmonyOS 2.0 in the form of developer previews. And despite Huawei repeatedly saying the opposite, it turns out it's kinda just Android in a disguise after all. When HarmonyOS 2.0 was announced at their developer conference in September last year, I made a whole video trying to decode their cryptic explanations where they called it a distributed operating system running across multiple devices at once. And back then, I said Huawei's presentation was really vague on the details, and now we kind of know why. The developer preview launched a few weeks ago back in China, and while there was initially a lot of back and forth about it on Twitter, Ron Amadeo from Ars Technica did some extensive digging and revealed that it was most definitely just a fork of Android 10 disguised as a new OS. To actually try the OS yourself, you'd have to sign up for a developer account with Huawei, which includes giving them a scan of your passport and your credit card, which no thanks. But all the videos I can find showing it side by side with regular Android-based EMUI show that the two are basically identical, down to having almost the exact same system settings too. Now, Huawei says that that's because they have just ported the user interface from Android over to HarmonyOS, but Ron found that a device info app actually identifies the OS as Android 10. The system seems to use the Android debug bridge. It uses all the same Android system components as regular Android, and that, quote, after hours of poking around on HarmonyOS, I couldn't find a single substantive change compared to Android. Other than a few renamed items, nothing is different. Ron says that even Huawei's supposed developer tools appear to be just using mostly Android Studio components, and their Huawei SDK seems to just be creating Android apps that are basically just APK files that are renamed as .hap files. Even the performance is almost identical with regular Android in the one good side-by-side comparison that I was able to find online. In other words, if it looks and behaves exactly like Android, it uses all the same Android system components and runs Android apps, it almost certainly is just a fork of Android, which is what I'm suspecting here. Now, Huawei has an operating system of its own called LightOS, which ships on some of its wearables, like the watch GT2 for example, and reportedly the open source version of HarmonyOS 2.0 is powered by some of this tech, but that appears to have no relationship with the actual HarmonyOS 2.0 Huawei is bringing to phones. We also know that Huawei earlier announced a compiler, which it then quickly abandoned after some harsh criticism, so I think we can try to guess what is actually going on here. My guess is that Huawei was kind of bluffing to convince the US regulators that if they kicked them off of the Android and Google platforms, they just had this magic card they could pull out from their back pocket. Except that magic card either doesn't exist, or it is at least nowhere near complete enough to actually ship on devices. I'm sure they would like to move to their own phone operating system eventually, but building a good one takes years, and with their chip business collapsing, their phone business being in a freefall, as well as the company having to sell off its Honor business and considering to sell off its flagship P and Mate series, there's no way they can also afford to swap out Android for a whole new system while they're at it. So I guess for now the phones themselves will just run a forked version of Android, which Huawei will insist on calling HarmonyOS, and then maybe along the way they can start swapping out the various components and making it into something that can eventually become an operating system of their own. Anyway, I really recommend Ron's fantastic article in Ars Technica if you want to learn more about the current implementation of HarmonyOS 2.0, and if you want to learn more about what they originally announced back in September, you can watch my video from back then. Both of them